Are we ready?
Yep.
You ready? Welcome everybody, welcome to my councillors and to the public and to our guests. Welcome to our DDC councillor and our KCC councillor to this Sandwich Town Council ordinary meeting of the council on Monday the 26th of June. Could I please ask that if you haven't already done so, if you could switch your mobile phones to silent or turn them off, that would be much appreciated, thank you. Okay, item number 1 are the Chair's opening remarks, and I have quite a few actually, I'm afraid to say. It's been a long, busy month this month. So the first thing I'd like to say is I'd like to say a very big thank you for a very successful civic service yesterday. And although it was sort of rather mixed because we haven't got a rector at St Clement's Church currently, and so we had somebody to stand in for that. The best I could do was the Archdeacon, so that was very nice for me. And of course the acting town clerk, Jill, hadn't undertaken any event like that before, but she was absolutely fantastic. So she did a really, really brilliant job with the catering and organising all of that. So thank you very much for all those that were able to attend, and I really appreciate the effort. It was really brilliant. I got some really good photographs on here if anybody wants to see any there. The second item I wanted to raise was, because I've got such a good team of councillors with me, is the amount of work that's being done on the working groups. And this is absolutely incredible. I'm really, really pleased. Thank you to all of you for putting in the effort that you're putting in on these working groups, because we're really moving things forward so fast on that. That's really good there. And then a little bit about myself. So what's the Mayor been doing then since I saw you last month? So I had a very enjoyable time going to Brightlingsea, which is a limb of Sandwich. And they took me out on some ships out into the sea towards Colchester, and unfortunately they couldn't push me over the side, so I came back unfortunately, but I had a very enjoyable time, and I met up with our counterparts in Brightlingsea there. I also, as promised, chaired an extraordinary general meeting on the matter of Richborough household waste recycling centre being closed, and we've moved on with that as well. I also undertook the recent town clerk recruitment, which we'll be discussing later, so just wait for all that to come later on in the meeting. I also attended an artists convention down on the quayside. Also, the most wonderful one thing I wanted to say was for the events organisers in Sandwich, because I attended Le Weekend and the Medieval Weekend 3 times, and it was probably the best event I'd seen to date in the town, so I was really pleased with that. I had a quite a choice encounter by visiting and listening to a visiting Ukrainian choir, and I also did raising the flag on Armed Forces Day, which was a week ago Monday, which was an important thing to recognise. We've had the Richborough public meeting, which was in St Mary's Church, which was extremely successful. And then, surprise, surprise, only just on Friday, they invited me back to Brightlingsea, so I must have done something right, for the annual visit of the Mayor of Sandwich. So that's all gone really well. And as I say, organising the civic service, which is a very old tradition for this town here. And finally, to bring me down to earth and show me who I really am, yesterday afternoon I had to give the prizes away for the best egg thrower at Staple Country Fair. So that was perhaps a bit more of an enjoyable thing there. On a more serious note, I've met with the new police officer to discuss matters with him, and I gave him a little shopping list of the items that I would like to see attended to in the town, so he knows all the problems and the issues in the town there. I've actually started what I'm doing is visiting some businesses in the town to liaise with them and to get a bit of feedback from the businesses as well. So, and I'm having regular meetings with the staff, of course. So, the other thing that I had to mention, two things I have to mention is, one thing is we've still got too much work coming in for the town clerk and the responsible financial officer, and the town clerk is and will be part-time for quite some time now, so we have got to be very careful about the amount of work we're presenting to the town clerk, if that's okay. And also with the financial officer, she's got accounts to do and that's her job. She doesn't do anything else apart from accounts there. So any new work that you want to present to the council, if you can bring it to me in the first place, and then I'll take it to Jill when I have my meeting with her, and then we'll raise it together and see if we've got the workability to do that, if that's okay there. And then of course the last thing that I've just got to mention this evening is it's with quite regret and sadness that I have to mention that our town sergeant and town crier has unfortunately had an interview come in today, and he's decided to hand his resignation in. So I'm really sorry to say that he won't be coming back to the sandwich fold, which is a great loss. But obviously, if you see him, please don't pester him about it. I think he's quite sensitive about it. So we'll just let the dust settle on that one, if that's okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Then the item number 2 we've got is the apologies for absence received, please, Town Clerk.
Thank you very much. So apologies from Councillor Morehouse, who has a travel commitment.
Thank you very much.
Councillor who, sorry?
Morehouse,
And
travel commitment. Thank you.
Although the bus driver's here from on Plaza.
Let's get my teeth, yes.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Marie, that's excellent. Item number 3, we have declarations of interest, and I'd like to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from the members in respect of any business that's being transacted on the agenda tonight. Does anybody have any declarations? That's a none, thank you. And then item number 4 are the minutes of the full council meeting. And the first one is to approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Sandwich Town Council held on the 22nd of May 2023, and to consider any matters arising for those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. And this is attachment number 1. Councillor Tuker, would you please stand?
Thank you. I've got a few points, so bear with me and I apologise.
It's fine, no problem.
Firstly, in terms of an improvement, I'd like to ask or propose that we have an action log attached to the minutes of the meeting. It's something that I would suggest we should apply across the board for all the meetings we have. What tends to happen is we have actions raised, they come just to the next meeting, then they just disappear into the ether. We have no rigour around whether they've been resolved, whether they should be closed because the passage of time has meant they're no longer relevant. But either way, we need to record formally. It's an easy task, just becomes part of the papers, and it's simply a cut and paste from the minutes into an action log, and the action log carries from meeting to meeting. So I'd like to propose that first.
Super, thank you. Pray continue.
Secondly, there is work on the standing orders which Ian will be, Councillor Black will be reporting back on a bit later. But at the last meeting we had representation from a member of the public around concerns with crime in the town, police presence, etc. You've mentioned you've met with the new police officer, Matt Weeks, great. But I'd like to ask that we record a formal invite to him to maybe the next meeting, because it's important comes on. There's 2 things that are particularly troubling me. One is that we have had 2 big spates of crime recently, a number of break-ins to cars about 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago. More recently, the fire of vehicles on Honfleur Street, Honfleur Road. So there are things happening. In parallel to that, we also have, just in the lead up to the last election, we had the police and crime commissioner, along with one of our DDC councillors, announcing that we were going to be getting an assigned officer to the ward of Sandwich. Brilliant. As it's transpired, it looks like we have got an officer, but he also is assigned to Deal.
Indeed.
Now, if that is true, we need to know how that person's going to stretch their responsibilities, and ultimately how our residents feel that the police presence has improved, because of course we did have a PCSO previously, no longer with us. If we're sharing a police officer with Deal, which is quite a vibrant town, it would be really good to know how that person's going to service our needs.
I'll answer you at the end if
Yeah,
I may.
please. Third or fourth, because I need 2 more. Linking to my earlier point about an action log, one of the things that would disappear after this meeting is there was an action for yourself, Mayor, and also Councillor Gray, to speak to the new owner of the old schoolhouse.
That's correct.
Has it happened?
Yeah,
If it hasn't
so that-
happened, is there a reason for it not happening? Is it still valid to do so? But either way,
Yeah.
it's an outstanding action which hasn't surfaced.
Yeah, that's correct.
And in fact, being very generous, that's it for me.
Oh, super, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
I will reply to you,
Yes, please.
Councillor Tuker. And with the proposal, are we allowed to take the proposal of this, because we're actually putting it
So with the action log,
Yeah,
is that what
action.
you're talking about? Yeah, I've had a conversation today with Councillor Tucker, and I've said that there is something that I want to
Yeah, sure.
go forward with, and it's something that obviously, as capacity increases, that will be kept up to date. But I don't see any reason why I can't produce that for you for the next meeting.
Okay, oh, that's great, because it's a put forward.
Do we
isn't
need
it?
to, because I proposed it, should we vote that people
That's
accept an
that's
action
what I
log?
was inquiring about. Does that need a?
I mean, it doesn't, because it's something that happened previously, as
So you're
it's
going to
today.
reintroduce it?
So I'm going
That's
to,
fine.
reinstate it.
Reinstate
Yeah.
it. Oh, super. Okay, that's good on that one there. Thank you very much. So yes, so that was the action log one there. To do with the police, as I say, I had a conversation with the new police officer, and he said that although he is stretched between Sandwich and Deal, he said he's working with another colleague in Deal. So Deal already have a designated police officer as well. And he said, in fact, it will actually work to our benefit, because although he won't be in Sandwich 100% of the time, he said when he does come into Sandwich, he's going to bring his colleague over from Deal as well. So he said there's quite a good opportunity that there may be 2 officers on the beat in Sandwich, walking around in Sandwich, and then when he's over in Deal, it will be likewise in Deal. But I did say to him, I gave him a list of all the issues and crimes and whatever has happened recently. I picked that up by discussing it with the neighbourhood watch wardens, who I'm in touch with in Sandwich. So I got all the crimes and issues there, and he said he's going to look into that. And one of the issues that I pushed the greatest was the Wednesday evening motorcycle gang, and he said he's going to raise that up the chain so that he can get somebody to give him the resources to address that. So he is going to do that. So I think it is going to work out really well for us. He's the officer that we've got is somebody that has worked in this vicinity for quite a large number of years, so he's very knowledgeable. So when I mentioned any parts of the town, he knew exactly where they were. So we haven't got a complete novice or rookie straight out of police college or what have you like that. So actually I believe it is going to be of great benefit to the town.
And do we have a formal invite with him?
Thank you for reminding me. So I formally invited him to this meeting tonight, and unfortunately, due to how his shifts work, he wasn't actually able to come tonight, but he has promised to come to the July meeting. And I said to him, I said, if you don't come, we need a written report. And he said that he would agree to abide by that. So if he can't come on certain evenings, then he will send a report. But obviously we've got to let him bed in and see how things go with that, if that's okay. With the house, schoolhouse, I didn't know if the town clerk or anybody else was making inquiries about that. So I made inquiries. I found out who the auction house were that sold the property off, and I approached them about it, and they said they couldn't release the details to me. So I don't know if anybody else has got any knowledge about what this is, but obviously they're personal details, and we don't want to put them out into the public realm.
So I can share the name. The gentleman has made himself known via Facebook.
Oh, brilliant.
And he actually even said in what he wrote was he was willing to meet with the council or anybody to discuss about his future plans. He has started some preparatory work on the building already, so he's ensconced in there doing stuff. So he's definitely open for a conversation.
That's brilliant. This has obviously been designated to myself and Councillor Gray, so if you could get those contact details to me, then I can follow up on that. So thank you very much. So, okay, so going back, so we're in the position to approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 22nd of May 2023. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mayor. Another item, I think, very similar to Councillor Chuka's things. I see something has disappeared. Item 14, the collaboration commitment, which was to be sent off to Calc. What's happened to it? Are we following it in the meantime, or what is the situation? Because I think this is critical to the way this council operates.
Indeed, I'll call in the town clerk on that one.
Yes, I have sent an email to Councillor Green and copied in Councillor Tuka with the feedback from Calc. And obviously it was quite a lengthy email. I don't know, I'm copied in the Mayor. I don't know if you had an opportunity yet to read the email, but certainly if you haven't, I know that we'll be able to follow that up. So it has been actioned, but I haven't had an opportunity yet to speak to the councillors involved.
Would be able to share with us the kind of content? I mean, are they saying no way? Are they saying a lot of good ideas?
So they did have some ideas about the civility and respect pledge, because that's something that obviously is in the domain at the moment, that local councils can adopt the pledge. But they said it's not something that is totally, should be discounted. It's something that it could be considered. But they were saying, look at the civility and respect pledge, and Frome Town Council as well is a very good performing town council that they said we could look to their website and look for their ideas as well. So there has been some follow-up, but I haven't had an opportunity yet to speak to the councillors involved.
Sorry.
Councillor Breen.
Yes, thank you, Town Clerk, for sending that through to me. I did have a look at it, and I'm just a little bit disappointed that the response was, it's a good idea, but go and have a look at civility and respect. And I think civility and respect is something that is already in place, and the whole idea of the collaboration commitment was that we would work together as a team, because there's just so much work to be done as a council, and if we're not prepared to work as a team, well then we're going to fail. There was nothing in the response that suggested we should discount the collaboration commitment that we put forward. And so what I would say, and what I would propose this evening, is that if all the councillors are content to sign that collaboration agreement, please privately email the town clerk stating your willingness to sign that commitment, because I don't want to ask for a show of hands in case anybody doesn't want to vote for it. If there is one councillor who doesn't want to vote for it, that should just be the private knowledge of the town clerk, and I don't want to know. As far as I'm concerned, we're either all in it together or we're not. So I would ask all of the town councillors to contact the town clerk to confirm their commitment or otherwise within the next week.
What was the legality? on that though, because there was a question on counting.
No, it's absolutely fine. There's nothing,
Is it?
no problem at all. Calca confirmed it's not,
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
it's perfectly legal. You can do it. They just explained about the Civility and Respect project and another council that we could look to in the future for another.
That's good. Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Okay, so could I have a proposer and a councillor?
Thank you, Chair. I just feel that since it was the council that asked the clerk to get a reaction from the calc advisor, that at least all the councillors should have that at their disposal.
Yes.
I'm fully prepared to sign the commitment, but I do want to do so in full knowledge of the facts.
That's correct. That's correct, councillor Pennington. Thank you. Okay. So could I have a proposer and a seconder for the? I shouldn't really let you come up. Is it on a different subject?
It's on a different subject.
Okay
yes.
then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was interested to hear you say a few moments ago that if the police officer is not able to attend, you would ask him to submit a written report.
Indeed.
Can I please ask you to extend that invitation to the Kent County Councillor and the Dover District Councillor, because we fully understand if they have to send their apologies, but if they do have to send their apologies when they're not able to come to give a verbal update, I feel it's only courteous that they send a written report which could be attached to the minutes.
I agree. Thank you for that. I just point out I did actually make contact to see if they were attending this evening, and if they weren't attending, then I would have asked for a report. Councillor Friend did say he was posting one shortly, but quite luckily we've got him here this evening anyway, so that's good. Councillor Anderson, and then we must move on because we've got to get through this minutes.
What I would like to have my say.
Is this appertaining to?
Yes, it is. I just want to point out that there are two Dover District Councillors, one of whom is also a member of this town council, and I just want to be somebody to explain to me why we always have the same Dover District Council reporting to us. There were two before, there remain two now, and why do we always have the same District Councillor reporting to us?
Okay, I can answer that very quickly and then we've got to move on. So this evening, behind the scenes, as your mayor, I made arrangements to find out which Dover District Councillor was attending tonight, and quite luckily Councillor Friend said he was attending. The other District Councillor has sent messages both to the town clerk and to myself, and he said he was on Fleur in France. Now I'm not going to force anybody to cut their holiday short,
No, that's not
so
what
I made a check, and if you were here at the previous meeting when I spoke last time, and I'm sure Councillor Friend, anybody else that was there would be able to tell you, I said I would alternate the Dover District Councillors, so 1 week I would have Councillor Morehouse and 1 week I would have Councillor Friend. And I can't be fairer than that. So
but that's very good to know. Thank you.
that's yes, thank you. So could I have a proposer and a seconder for the ordinary minutes of the 22nd of May, please?
I'll propose it.
Thank you very much. And all those in favour, please signify with your cards. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, to approve the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of Sandwich Town Council held on the 5th of June 2023, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda. And this was attachment number 2. So if you remember, this was the household waste, the extraordinary meeting that I promised that I would hold at the annual town meeting, and I kept to my promise, and you all attended, and we drew up an action plan on that. So I'd like an approver and a seconder for that.
Sorry, could I just make a comment?
It's appertaining to the minutes, yeah?
Yes,
Sure,
yes.
thank you.
So, we had the public meeting, as you know, you mentioned about Mayor. That was great success on the evening. Work is underway in the background. I want just to make sure it's reflected here that myself, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Morehouse are meeting tomorrow to take a stock take for all that came out of the public meeting. to take decisions about how we move forward. We have got a significant number of volunteers. We have a significant number of ideas of what we want to do alongside the consultation, which will be very much a questionnaire-driven activity we expect. There will be other things we will do around the margins. So we're going to organise people in terms of their time available, what they want to get involved in. So we do have a momentum around the 12-week period of consultation, but of course 5th of July is a key date in terms of a report going back to KCC and us seeing what's actually in that report in terms of Sandwich and the Richborough Centre.
Brilliant, thank you, and thank you very much for that update. That's most helpful for that. So could I have an approver and seconder for the minutes of the 5th of June, please?
Yeah, I approve it.
Thank you. And Councillor Breen. And all those in favour, please signify with your cards.
Abstaining due to I wasn't here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Summary. And the next item is to note the draft minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee, which was held on the 19th of June 2023, and this is attachment number 3. So could I, if anybody's got anything...
To note, Mr Mayor. To note.
Oh, thank you, to note, thank you very much. Could I have a seconder for that? Thank you very much, Councillor Marie. And all those in favour? Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, we have payment schedules, and we can't take these on block because of 5C and 5D. So 5A is to receive and note the payments for mid-June, totalling £23,366.93. These payments, which are not supported by a minute reference, have been authorised by officers with delegated powers of expenditure. This is attachment 4A.
Recommend approval.
Thank you very much. And seconder, and all those in favour? One abstention. And item 5B is to receive and approve the schedule of payments for June, totalling £1,209.68, and this is attachment 4B. Could I have a proposer and seconder for these accounts, please? So that's Councillor Chuka, and the seconder, please. And that's Councillor Green. Sorry, got in there before you again, Councillor Pennington. Thank you very much. Are you okay?
Yes.
All right to speak there?
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, indeed, that's it. And could we vote with your cards as to, we've got one abstention there. Oh, 2, sorry. Beg your pardon. Thanks for that. And item number 5C is the Council to confirm a nomination of 2 signatories to authorise the end of June payment schedules on Bankline. I'm quite happy to nominate myself, and then did we have the Councillor Franklin?
I don't mind doing it, yeah.
Okay, and Councillor Franklin. All those in favour of those 2 nominations? Thank you very much. And 5D is the Council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise the mid-July payment schedules on Bankline as well. As I say, I'm quite happy I'm not on holiday then. Was there anybody else? Oh, Councillor Wiles, that's the second one there. So, thank you very much. And all those in favour of those 2 nominees? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we come to my favourite part of the evening, which is item number 6, which is public participation. And we now have a 15-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect of the business on the agenda. Individual representation should not exceed 3 minutes, please note. We've got quite a few of you this evening. Written notice of the desire to exercise the right to speak, together with the topic to be addressed, must be given to the interim town clerk prior to 1600 hours on the Friday preceding the meeting. Okay, so let's see what lovely people we've got today. We've got our first member of the public is Sally Hayter. Would you please like to come up and join me?
This way.
Yes.
Come up and join me. So, please please start when you're ready to do so.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. For residents who attend these meetings on a regular basis or watch the videos very kindly supplied by Christina, you may be aware that I normally stand behind the camera to speak. I do so as I have no desire to be on Facebook, YouTube, or any other photographic medium. However, tonight I have chosen to stand in front of the camera, the reason for which I hope will become apparent to you. I live in a small street in Sandwich in which residents have had to put up with the following: rubbish being dumped in their flower pots, men urinating in their flower pots, dogs' excrement being thrown into their courtyards, eggs being thrown at their properties. I have to put up with my flowers being thrown down the road, flowers being killed off by what I presume to be some sort of weed killer, having to see a man urinating in the middle of the road, and earlier this month, oil being thrown at my home, over my windows, over my flowers, and subsequently running down the wall onto the pavement and into the road. I have cleaned my window, and believe me, it took a bit of cleaning. I continue to give care and attention to my flowers for the benefit of all, and our lovely new town clerk very kindly, on my behalf, informed KCC of the need for the pavement to be cleaned. Has this happened? No. Am I surprised by that? No. I have informed the police and it has been recorded as a criminal damage incident. I have told them that I am more than willing to give evidence in court if the culprit should be apprehended. If these people are in this chamber watching this video or hear about it by word of mouth, I want them to know I despise them, that I am not intimidated by them, and if they are apprehended, I will pursue them through the civil courts for restitution. I want them to know there are human and electronic eyes watching now. I want them to know that I believe in karma, and it is irrelevant to me whether they do or they don't. One day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week or next year, but one day karma will be tapping on their shoulders. And when she does, because I'm sure she's a woman, I want them to remember these words and remember this face. And that is why this evening I am standing in front of and not behind Christina's camera. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Okay, and our second public participant tonight is Mr. Jim Pettican. Would you please come up and stand so that we can see and hear you clearly?
You will know that, Mr. Mayor.
Could you take directions from our...
This is on camera, that is off camera. You
so you
choose.
can choose where you want
Before
to.
we start, this is way over 3 minutes. And
How
it
long?
needs to be 6.
Ah.
3 minutes maximum, isn't it?
No, because in your AGM, you said that you was changing all that and council would be able to talk back to us.
It's part, I believe it's part of the standing orders, so until the standing orders are
Oh,
updated,
so we'll have
we've got to
standing
stick
orders
to
tonight then, shall we?
that. But yeah, I'm sorry to say you
Well
have to
then,
keep to the 3 minutes.
this is an absolute disgrace because, councillors, I don't know if you're aware of this, we have a 30-mile-an-hour proposal coming in up the Winsborough Road. This is all off pack. I'm not reading this, right? Which is an absolute joke because there was a KCC plan that was put in, right? It was actually designed by KCC, approved by Dover District Council, right? And now they're welching on it. The developer has brought in another consultant, and now they're welching on it. People up Winsborough Road are going to get killed. We've got Silverstone 2 now, only just away from this building, just up the road. This is an absolute joke now. Councillors, get a grip of this lot, and back us people who live up the Winsborough Road, right? Back us. In as much as you get behind us and you write to the technical director of highways, right? I know the lady here tonight is going to be able to put a stop on, and she's got to put a refurbishment report. She can actually refurbish a report in tonight saying that council object very strongly, I hope, and also that they will formally write to the technical director of KCC Highways. So you have to get a formal reply, because this consultation, trust me, is a bin job.
Did you want your speech?
No, you'll want that. No, you're going to want that, pal. I'm really disappointed with council, to be quite honest. Absolutely disgusting.
Okay, so with this item, can I just say, Councillor, this item actually comes up on item number 18. It has been specifically put on the agenda for Councillor Pettican. And the town clerk here has actually asked for a deferment, and we've been told that we can submit our comments.
So I have had confirmation from the Kent County Council officer that we will be able to submit comments as long as they're submitted by tomorrow. Obviously the consultation does end at noon today, but the comments from the town council will be taken, they said.
So this item's been taken very seriously, and it's been put on the agenda, and we've got a deferment from that. I'm not allowed to take any questions from the floor. Was it something important, Mr. Pettican?
Yeah, it is important, but I'm hoping that town council are going to pick up on the fact that you can consult to Kent County Council by sometime tomorrow or tonight or whatever you may do. You put a holding on that there's a formal letter going in, because this is absolutely shocking. Someone up in Polders Road, Polders Gardens, Winsborough Road, on their ridiculous blister crosses is going to get seriously maimed. If not, there's going to be a fatality.
Yeah.
So stuff is coming down that road, 50, 60 mile an hour. And Kent County Council, they actually said that they was going to put roundels in, 30 mile an hour signs, this and all that. Do you know, 40 mile an hour sign going out?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Could I just say that all the details for this item have been sent out by the town clerk. It's down to the councillors, so all the councillors have had all the details. They're all aware of this. Mr. Pettican's been offered 3 minutes to speak. He's had some time to speak. Item 18 is when we can take this into full discussion. Could I ask our next public participant, please, Christina Glynn?
Good evening. I'm addressing you to request greater transparency in 5 respects, 2 financial and 3 operational, as follows. The Good Councillor's Guide to Finance and Transparency states that the Transparency Code is designed to increase democratic accountability and ensure that local people can access and scrutinise data covering use of assets, how the council manages its assets. My first request is for full accounting for asset usage, meaning putting an end to benefits in kind, invisible donations, and what are perceived by some residents to be mates rates. I am not suggesting that any organisation or person should be disadvantaged by this proposal, but rather that asset earnings should be accounted for in full, and that donations in the form of free or discounted use of assets, for example, rooms, buildings, the forecourt, Cowleys Meadow, etc., be recorded accordingly. This would enhance transparency and clarify the actual contribution made by the council to various events, individuals and organisations. Raising awareness would also enable the council to include reviews of these arrangements alongside other periodic reviews. My second request is for clarity between legal entities, in particular between the council and the STBF, and where the function and the assets of the museum and archives sit between the legal entities, or whether they might be a separate legal entity. Currently, how the council manages its assets is clouded by indistinct legal entities, as demonstrated by the STBF reimbursing STC salaries, despite the STBF declaring that it has no employees, and by drawdowns from STBF capital. My third request is for the list of councillor representatives on external organisations to be published. Councillors were appointed to external organisations at the annual meeting of the council in May, but the proposal paper was not attached to the agenda, so the public have not had sight of it, and we still don't know the appointments, which are on the agenda for amendment this evening. My fourth request is for the civic calendar to be published in a prominent place and to be kept up to date. I'm requesting this because the first I knew of the Mayor's Parade and Civic Service was when the Mayor commented on social media last Thursday evening that it coincided with the Sandwich 10k running race on Sunday. I checked the civic calendar that was attached to the annual meeting of the council agenda and found that Sunday's event was not listed. Engagement with residents may be enhanced by sharing a live calendar of STC meetings and civic events. And finally, because my time is up, my fifth request is for an enhancement to road closure notifications. And I would very much like to see a feed of that on the STC website, because it's as opaque as anything at the moment. People just don't know what's happening and residents are complaining about it. I even saw someone say, what's the point of having a council if it doesn't know when the roads are closed in the town? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did we have anybody, a representative from Sandwich Infant School in the public gallery at all? Our last one. Oh, so okay. So our last speaker unfortunately didn't attend tonight, so we can pick that up later.
Well, come on.
Okay, so item number 7 is the stagecoach representatives, and this was something that once again came from the annual town meeting. At the annual town meeting, I promised to raise the issue about the bus stop outside here. It was raised at the annual town meeting. The Dover District and Kent County Council were both at the annual town meeting, and I could almost tell you verbatim that those officers from there said that it was a matter to be discussed with the stagecoach representatives. So I have particularly, this is my personal invitation to stagecoach to ask the representatives to attend the meeting and answer any queries around the bus stands and the use of double-decker buses in Sandwich. But I just want to point out, before they stand up and talk to you, that these people have come here out of their own volition. They've come here honestly and genuinely to support and help the town. So please ask sensible and straightforward questions after their presentation. Thank you very much. Could I ask the two candidates, Matthew Arnold and Mark Spratt, if you would please, have you got a presentation to, or just come to listen? Oh, super. Okay, then. All right, that's okay. That's not a problem at all. So what we could do is, if anybody has any questions, you take questions and answers. Yeah.
Do you want me to answer the questions that were sent to us in advance?
Yeah, please do if you could. Yeah, that would be most helpful. Yeah. Would you be able to stand so everybody can see you and hear you clearly? Thank you very much. You're not restricted to 3 minutes. So.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm Matthew Arnold. I'm Commercial Director for Stagecoach South East. So we were sent a number of questions by the Town Council, which I will do my very best to answer. Some of them are better answered by Kent Highways, but I can enlighten you as to where we fit into the process. So the first question, we were told that the bus stand nearest to the junction of Motesole and Cattle Market, outside the Guildhall Courthouse doors, is entirely down to Stagecoach's decision. Is this correct? The answer is no, it's not correct. So the positioning of bus stops is a highways activity, so we do by Kent Highways, but they do talk to us, they consult with us on the location, and I'll explain in a couple of questions why we've ended up with the layout that we have. How can this dangerous situation, having the bus stand so close to the junction here, be rectified? So the scheme has to, by law, go through a safety audit by a qualified safety assessor through Kent Highways. So it will have gone through a statutory safety process. That's all I can say. As far as we're concerned, it's been audited and it's been passed as a safe layout. Are Stagecoach able to work with DDC and Kent Highways to move these bus stands backwards to a much safer distance from the junction? The answer is, if people want to move it, we can see what can be done. Ultimately, it's a decision for Kent Highways, and you have to take into account that you need a certain amount of length in order to get two independent bus stops working with each other. Did Stagecoach have much consultation over the siting of these bus stands? And I think we've traced correspondence back to about 2014 for changes to the previous layout. And the previous layout, I think it has to be said, never quite worked satisfactorily. So there were two stands in parallel, one for buses heading towards Canterbury, the other for buses heading towards Dover and Deal. Unfortunately, what happened was that buses that parked on the former island legally in a marked bus stop very often were in conflict with cars that were parked on the double yellow line outside the pub. And the implication was that we were blocking the road. Actually, we weren't blocking the road, cars were blocking the road. It is important to have two independent stops working together because Sandwich is an interchange point. And what happens if you have buses in opposite directions, effectively using the same bus stop, is that people very easily get confused and end up on the wrong bus. So it's very important that we have two bus stops working in tandem. Why are we still using double-decker buses in this ancient medieval town? The question I've actually answered a couple of times here before. I can't remember, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So Sandwich is the beginning and end of both routes. So what you see is the number of people that get on or off in Sandwich. What you don't see is what the bus does further down the road. We carry large numbers of school children at peak hours, indeed full double-decker buses on the routes that serve Sandwich. It's not possible. People quite often say, well, why can't you just use double-deckers in peak hours and use a minibus in the off-peak when there are less people travelling? Well, that's simply not practical because we'd have to have two fleets of buses. We'd have to pull the double-decker out of service after the school peak, run off and get another little minibus, and then do the same in reverse before the afternoon peak. And in fact, most off-peak bus services throughout the county of Kent are only provided because we have these double-deckers which carry large numbers of school children in the peaks that are otherwise sitting around so we can provide services much cheaper than we could if we had to run 2 fleets of buses. And about 5 or 6 years ago, you may remember we had predominantly single deck buses operating through Sandwich, and we removed them principally because of the difficulty in turning right out of Strand Street, and again that was normally because of an issue with inconsiderately parked cars. Now those buses were 12.5 metres long. The double decks that we use now are 10.8 metres long, so in fact the double deckers take up less road space than a single decker. And the final question, what can be done to install a bus stop that, as originally specified, would be in keeping with the town's medieval heritage? Now again, we have very limited involvement with the stops. We provide the flag that tells you it's a bus stop, and we provide the timetable information. Anything that involves digging a hole in the road or on the pavement is the responsibility of Kent Highways. But again, we work closely with them. So what we have done elsewhere, I don't know if any of you know Folkestone, there's an old traditional type East Kent bus shelter at Wood Avenue that's painted in the old cream and maroon colours, and is looked after by a local group. And we worked with them, and we produced a resin replica 1950s style bus stop, but which meets all modern requirements. And if appropriate, we're quite happy to work with you to do that here, if that's what you wish. So those were the questions that we were asked. My colleague Mark Spratt from our Dover Depot is with me, and we're happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Councillor Wiles, you were first, I believe.
Do I need to stand?
So big punch.
Shall I stand?
Oh, yes, please, if you would. So everybody can sit and hear you.
When we had a meeting a few weeks ago at the bus stand, as it is now, Councillor Marie was there, and we spoke about the possibility of 2 buses being end-to-end in front of this forecourt. You say a bus is roughly 11 metres. If you were to cut into the pavement here by about 6 metres, it would allow, I'm assuming 6 metres would be enough to allow buses to negotiate around each other. So you need 28 metres in total.
It's difficult because you have to take into account the width of the road, and the difficulty we have here. I mean, even tonight when I walked in, there were cars parked on the double yellow lines, which would block the front stop.
Do you think Stagecoach would be willing to come and have a site meeting where we could measure this? Because there is huge concern in the town about the safety of this bus stand on the corner. And we haven't seen this. I think there were 3 safety audits. Certainly the first one said it wasn't safe, but apparently there are other audits which say it is, but we haven't seen sight of those, so it would be good to know exactly what's being said. But a site meeting would be useful, I think.
We're more than happy to participate in a site meeting, but it has to be led by Kent Highways because ultimately it's their infrastructure.
Super. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Sorry. Oh, Councillor Marie.
The bus, we're looking forward to this actually. The bus man speaking. Can I ask you 2 gentlemen, have you ever driven a bus?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you got licences? Yeah. Okay. So you'll know, you'll be fully aware that you're parked on a corner which is less than 10 metres to the junction. So you're not concentrating. You're concentrating on your rear view mirror to turn out onto that off that junction. You're not concentrating on the junction itself. Correct? So you're at that bus stop now, and you're pulling out. You shut your doors. You're now looking at your right rear view mirror to make sure there's nothing coming, so you can take your turn out. You can indicate to turn right. That means you're not concentrating on that left-hand corner, which is Motel, correct?
But you do that at any bus stop. For example, Whitstable Parlour Street is one that we regularly use, which is literally 1 lane wide with people jumping on.
As a bus driver, when you do your test, you are told to watch the doors when the doors close and make sure the passengers are safe. Then you check your right side mirror to make sure nothing's coming for you. Indicate right to turn off the bus stop. That's how you're taught in your test. Done my test 3 years ago. so it's pretty fresh in my memory. I'm not concentrating on that corner to see if anything's coming, because as your bus drivers know, there'll be any vehicle would try their utmost hardest to get in front of you, so they're not behind you. So my concern is that corner is too dangerous. I've had 3 residents in the last 2 weeks email me to say that they've nearly been run over by cars because the cars are coming, they can't see the junction and the car coming around the bus. So and obviously they have a blind spot. The bus is causing a blind spot. They're turning left into Motel, and they're nearly being wiped out by cars. I have gave my opinion regarding where the bus stop should be. It should be the old style. So one outside the Guildhall and one outside the takeaway places it was before. If there is a meeting set up, I'd like to be a part of that meeting because that safety order that's been given is not worth the paper it's written on, quite frankly. I think the person who done it must have been blind when they were doing it. That's my opinion, that's a council opinion, that's my personal opinion. So I would like to have that meeting with you, but thank you very much for answering the questions.
Thank you. Councillor Black. Oh, sorry, did you want to reply? Indeed. Sorry.
So, first thing is I've held the licence for 37 years, and I always look right around the bus. I don't just concentrate on one side or the other. But anyway, there is a valid safety assessment in force which has been carried out by a qualified safety assessor. If that needs to be revisited because the town council wishes it to be revisited, then that is a matter of Kent Highways. As far as we're concerned, if it's signed off and it passes our own internal risk assessment processes, which are rigorous because we don't want to condone or operate anything that is inherently dangerous. So we're quite happy to revisit that with Kent Highways. In respect of moving the stop further up to outside the bank, the issue we have with buses these days is that new bus stops have to be made accessible. And you need a considerable amount of pavement width in order to be able to deploy a ramp and get a wheelchair off a bus safely. It's also best practice to line a bus stop up so that the bus can get into the curb. So we try not to have bus stops on curbs. So you've got a double whammy there, really probably not enough pavement room, and you end up with the bus on the curb.
Thank you very much. Oh, Councillor Black was next.
2 points. I would request that this council sees the full safety audit that was carried out, and that it should publish it in the minutes. That's the first point, and that's absolutely critical, and we have to know which one are they using. The second point, though, I'm a former transport man as well, and I welcome the fact that you're prepared to have a meeting. It does strike me, and I'm deferring to my expert here, who's a current transport operator, that if the pavement had been pushed back further and pushed back in this space, you would have adequate space for 2 11-metre buses or 10.8-metre buses, plus enough room for them to get in and out. And obviously, you've got to have a certain distance to be able to pull in and out. Why this was present scheme was put in is in the realms of mystery. But I welcome the fact we're going to have a meeting. I would also like to join that meeting because my expertise is also really important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Tomlin's put her hand up first.
A question really.
Sorry.
As you may not be able to answer this, but whether your bus drivers have expressed concern, because we seem to have a real mismatch here between what the general local people are thinking, feeling, and the council versus what KCC are saying regarding this. But I wondered if any of your bus drivers are experiencing any difficulties in reporting that back that you'd be aware of. Because they must have an opinion of something, whether it isn't a good
I think the only
arrangement, because it seems to be that most people think it isn't a good arrangement.
There were 2 difficulties in Sandwich up to a couple of months ago. The first was sitting on the island stop and being abused, quite frankly, by motorists because there were cars parked on the double yellow lines. And the second was the left turn out of Strand Street at Breezy Corner. So we've done away with that now, so everything loops around the town and runs around the bypass rather than running up Ash Road. And there are a number number of people who used to use the bus quite regularly from Ash Road who now have to walk into town to catch the bus. But as far as I'm aware, those are the only two issues that have been flagged. And as I say, when I came in here tonight, again, we've got parking on the double yellow lines, which doesn't make the operation of the stops any better than it was before.
It's difficult because I haven't heard anybody actually say it's an improvement. I think the general consensus is it's definitely not an improvement. So that's the difficulty, that it may have been issues before, but now the issues seem to be much more apparent and everybody is concerned about vast majority about dangers.
You're absolutely right, and I think the issue is that our forefathers didn't have the common sense to know that we're going to be running large buses in medieval towns and cities. And of course, in the last few years, buses have got wider because of disabled access requirements. So they're about a metre longer and 5 centimetres wider than they were even 10 years ago. So buses have got bigger to meet accessibility requirements, and we work in constrained spaces like medieval towns.
Thank you very much. The last question is Councillor Anderson, I'm afraid, because of the time we're going to run over. We've got a time limit at 9 o'clock to finish the meeting or decide to change.
I just wanted to make 2 comments. One is that I have seen somebody drive round a bus in order to turn left into, actually it's not Moatsoe, it's the cattle market. And they took a very wide berth round this park bus and were immediately in the right-hand lane of the cattle market that goes down the side of this building, and there was oncoming traffic, and it was only with great difficulty that an accident was forestalled, and I think it is an accident waiting to happen. The second point I wanted to make is that 2 authorities have been mentioned in your answers. First of all, Kent Highways, and we do have a Kent County Councillor here, and I'd like to hear from her what she's proposing to do about that. And secondly, enforcement against parking on the double yellow lines, which doesn't seem to be happening at all, because it's continuous breach of that regulation. And I want to hear from Dover District Council, and we do have a Dover District Councillor here, what they are going to do about enforcement of parking regulations.
Can I just say, because we really are limited for time on the meeting,
Sorry, mine isn't a question of Stagecoach. It's just a suggestion that in terms of the action that you're going to be taking forward to the council is about getting together with Stagecoach in terms of revisiting. Extend it. What's happening too much is from a resident's perspective and a town council perspective, we're moving from pillar to post. We should have Dover District Council involved, KCC Highways, and do collectively in a way that actually gets the right result with the right opinions. But if you take one opinion to another group, you get a different opinion, and that's happening too much.
Yeah. Can I just say, just to finalise this, is obviously at the annual town meeting we did have the other 2 operators, so we had KCC and DDC there, and Stagecoach weren't there, so it was down to me to bring Stagecoach to you, which I've done, keeping my promise there. If anybody else has got any other questions, I'd like you're quite welcome to send them in to the town clerk and we can pass them on. But I can promise you that the main action from tonight will be definitely setting up a site meeting, which will include all the operators and Sandwich Town Council as well. So that will be arranged and you will be notified of that in due course, and that can be arranged. Please, please, please realise that we're going to have 3 lots of operators, so trying to get a date from 3 lots of officers, it might not happen tomorrow or this week, but we will arrange it for you if that's okay. And with that, I'd like to thank our guests tonight very much for coming. Very pleased for you coming tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again when we arrange a site meeting, if that's okay with you. And we've got your contact details, so I'm very grateful for you to come tonight. And we'll release you now because this may go on for another hour or more, so I'm sure you don't want to.
Anytime you want us to come back.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much for attending tonight. And do you know your way out okay? You find it acceptable, you can go this way.
Easier that way. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attending. That's very kind of you. Okay, item number 8 is verbal report from our Dover District Councillors, plural, on matters relating to Sandwich. Councillor Dan Friend, if you'd like to give them a report. As I say, if you did say previously that it was quite lengthy, so
I'll do the abridged version.
if you don't want to do the full
Circulate it via email, yeah.
full 16 pages that you told me, then please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
First update I have is about the Richborough Waste and Recycling Centre. So in my role as the Committee on Provian Scrutiny, I raised the schedule onto our work schedule that we have KCC officers come to Dover District Council to explain their rationale behind the consultation and the proposed closures and the options included in there. Councillor Vincent is the chair of this committee, and the Democratic Service officers at Dover District Council are currently working through what dates that can be, but in order for it to be most advantageous, that's probably going to be after the consultation starts. I spoke to yourself, Mr. Mayor, and we're organising a meeting to try and get some questions together. The other big item I have, which is obviously on everyone's agenda, is the car fires on Flow Road. The police are still actively investigating the car fires, and as they are still under investigation, a lot of the details are still confidential. There have been a number of incidents in this area. Fortunately, no injuries have been caused to members of the public or residents there, but there has been significant damage to properties and impacts on the mental health and well-being of the neighbours there. In response to the incidents, we organised a meeting on Friday for a number of DDC officers from the community safety team, the housing unit, we had our KCC warden, we had representatives from Kent Police, and we delivered letters and some notices to everyone in the close vicinity with some important information and contact numbers. As a result of that meeting, I worked with DDC to have the mobile CCTV system installed on Honflow Road, providing a 24/7 security monitoring of the area, helping to deter incidents and ensure the safety of residents and put their minds at ease. There will be more information coming on that. I will circulate a copy of the letter to councillors. I think the town clerk may have already done that earlier today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dover District Council, in commemoration of the Clean Air Day that was on the 15th of June, has launched a public consultation on the draft Air Quality Action Plan, which is aimed at enhancing the air quality in the district over the next 5 years. The draft action plan focuses on tackling emissions from cars, lorries and buses, which are the primary contributors to air pollution in the district. By targeting these sources, DDC aims to make substantial improvements in air quality throughout the area, and I hope that councillors will make their views known on that consultation. There was a regulatory committee this month to hear the application presented for the 4 tables and 8 chairs in Austin's Lane by Sandwich Bakery Company. The permission and licence was granted, and it was particularly good to see that fellow businesses in the town were supporting the bakery company in their ambitions to promote their business and increase their offering post-COVID. Dover District Council is still working on the Supporting Afghan Citizens project, and they hope to have a press release that will be able to be shared shortly. In terms of social housing, just a quick update. There were 2 properties that were being built on some brownfield land in Foxborough Close at Withensborough that are very, very close to being completed. There is an update on the Bulwarks play area. There is a meeting being arranged between the relevant officers, and I know the town clerk has been in email correspondence with Kieran with some of the information, and once that meeting happens at the end of July, there'll be some more information coming back by the clerk to councillors to further discuss.
Brilliant.
And that's it. I'll email this in forward to council.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Friend. And then item number 9, we have the verbal report from our Kent County Councillor on matters relating to Sandwich. Councillor Sue Chandler, if you'd like to step up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. can I pick up that last item regarding Stagecoach and the bus stop first? I'll obviously be very happy to try and facilitate a meeting if that's what you wish for. I should perhaps tell people that I did much earlier on listen to the comments that residents were making, and I did invite highways officers to actually come and visit Sandwich and look at the situation, which indeed they did. It wasn't a formal request, it was just a request for them to come and view for themselves, but I did indeed do that. I think probably the rest of the comments can be left until a meeting is facilitated. Although I will just mention that, as the Stagecoach indicated, the iterations of the new design to replace what was originally there and as they said was not working properly have been going on since around 2014. So it has been a long process with a lot of consultation on the way. So just to a few things that I have to report. So many of you will have seen that part of the White Cliffs of Dover, which is not in Sandwich but is very accessible for us and an important part of our coastline, has had a facelift so that people can access the footpath. That part of the coastal footpath is 2.2k stretch of it at all times of the year, and importantly it also makes it accessible for those with disabilities. So ramps, improving gradients, has all been funded through grants which KCC has worked towards together with the National Trust Natural England and the Kent Downs Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty. The leader of Kent County Council has joined in with a number of high-profile organisations calling on the government not to proceed with one of its flagship planning reforms. And this is very pertinent to local communities. The Minister is proposing to put in place an infrastructure levy which will replace the current system of developer contributions, Section 106 payments and the community infrastructure levy. Now the new proposals will make it much more difficult for local communities to articulate what they might wish to see as benefits from development, but also it makes it much more difficult to put the appropriate infrastructure in place, which would have been achieved previously. So Roger Goff has signed a letter, and the report which I sent to the town clerk will have the text of that whole letter. But that is particularly important for local communities because your input into planning, as we know, often includes an input into the 106 agreements. Mrs. Hayter, I'm really sorry to hear of the troubles that you have had. I can take up for you the cleaning of the pavement outside your house. Obviously I was unaware until tonight, but I will take that up for you with our highways team. Mr. Peskin, I have forwarded the extremely detailed representations that you sent to me to the Director of Highways, and I've asked for two things. I've asked for them to be considered as a representation to the TRO, but I'm sure you've done that yourself. But I have also asked for a response in detail to those issues that you have raised.
The consultation finishes tomorrow.
I haven't had it yet. I haven't had it yet, but I will forward that to you when I do get it.
Too late then, isn't it?
I have already asked for those detailed representations you made to be considered as part of the response to the TRO. There is a paper that is going to the Growth, Economic Development and Communities Cabinet Committee meeting next week, so the agendas are out, which councillors may want to take a look at because it is a review of the Community Warden Service, and so it has not been discussed yet. It will be discussed at the Cabinet Committee, but the paper is there if councillors may wish to take a look at it. And again, the link will be on the report. Sorry, can I go back a bit? In response to the director confirmed to me today that your responses tomorrow will be accepted, so that's my ability. Now finally, I wanted to update on the review of the household waste recycling centres and Richborough in particular. But for the benefit of those councillors who were not able to be at the annual town meeting, when I responded to questions on this particular subject, I was going to repeat what I actually said. So I don't agree, I do not agree with the proposal to close Richborough. I've spoken directly with the Cabinet member to express my concerns, and I have also passed on to her all the comments that I've received from residents. This proposal has only been discussed at the Environment and Transport Cabinet Committee. I'm not a member of that committee. That committee also expressed concerns and have held a further 3 working group meetings with the Cabinet member to provide input into the full public consultation. I understand that some important changes have been made, and I'm very much hoping that my request to the Cabinet member for a genuine choice for residents in Sandwich and the villages will be included. The consultation is still due to begin in July for 12 weeks and will be widely publicised and very accessible. Councillor Friend's full report, I think, includes some initiatives, and I'm sure the council will have their own to ensure that everyone who wishes to respond can do so easily. However, it is also important to say that I've always acknowledged the need for Kent County Council to make savings in order to balance the budget. We cannot, as a responsible authority, set a deficit budget, and that was always going to mean difficult decisions to ensure we're able to meet our statutory duties, particularly in the adult and children's social services context. So we will be consulting on our budget priorities for 24-25 over this summer and autumn, and I really would encourage all councillors and indeed all residents to look at that consultation and respond to that as well, because that gives you an opportunity to actually give your view on how you feel the council should have prioritise its commitments that it has to make. And you know, it is important that you're offered a say and that you have your say on that. So I have been saying for a year now that we will have more than a year probably, we will have difficult decisions to make to actually balance our budget. If we don't balance our budget, effectively we get taken over, and those cuts will be made anyway, irrespective, all over the place without any consultation from residents. So it really is in residents' and councillors' interests to respond to that budget consultation when it comes through later in the summer. It will carry on for 12 weeks. There will be ample opportunity for you to do that and to discuss it as council if you wish to.
Thank you very much for that report, Councillor Chandler. Okay, item number 10 is updates from councillors. To receive and note verbal updates from councillors on meetings that they have attended as nominated representatives of the council. Do we have any councillors that have attended any meetings there? Councillor Marie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few, so you have to bear with me a second. So the first one I'd like to speak about is the town team. Last week we had a meeting at the town team. We were supposed to discuss the wish list, the proposed wish list regarding certain things that we'd like to see within the town. However, sadly, the lady that made the wish list wasn't able to attend that meeting, so the meeting was changed slightly for reviews and comments on the wish list, and it will be spoken about on the 3rd of July. On the agenda that we had, one of the questions was parking. The parking issues that we had in the town regarding residents parking and the car parks and stuff. They will be spoken about at a later date. I have requested a meeting with the town team and DDC Parking Services to see what we can come up with, what best ideas we can come up with for residents and businesses alike. The key report was spoken about briefly. I do believe that Councillor Anderson is going to bring it to the next council meeting next month regarding the key report that we had last month. So there's no need to speak about that. I spoke about the issues. The other big thing that was spoken about is tourism within the town. Tourism is a vital part for Sandwich. It makes the town move, as it were, throughout the year. Miss Summerhays, she's gone now. She gave a lovely email, as you, Councillor Anderson, saw regarding that. I will be bringing to council next month a recommendation for the tourism committee to be re-established, with evidence from businesses and establishments alike to say why it's needed within the town, and also to help boost the visitor information centre. The next one I'd like to say a personal thanks to the organisers of the French weekend, the weekend that happened at the beginning of the month. It's a fantastic event, and I'd like to thank, as I did at the Townscape Heritage, Councillor Morehouse, Steve Laslett and others that helped organise that event. With the 700 bikes went through the town on a Sunday, and it was a very, very hot weekend. I got sunburned, even more so than I am now. Also, tonight, as you can hear in the background in the town, tonight is the start of the Folk and Owl Festival. It starts tonight. My favourite band, Repeat Offender, are in the Fleur, so I do plan to go and see them when this meeting finishes, if it finishes in time, to see them. I have a message from the chairman. It says, all is in hand. We are looking forward to the week's events. Midweek should be nice spike for the pubs and restaurants who engage with the festival, and we'll be visiting all those sites each night with the help that they need. The weekend portion of the festival, Friday to Sunday, will make use of the Guildhall forecourt. We are assured by Dover District Council that the works will be completed at a satisfactory standard, with some potential minor elements to be completed, and we are confident that will be the case and the festival won't be affected. We have noted the concerns of the Guildhall being affected by cooking oil, as it was for the French weekend, and vehicle oils, and a plan has been put in place to help eliminate any mess. We have contacted all the stallholders on this matter and asked them for help in any way we can by reducing the potential oil spillages. We will place tarpaulin under stallholders, hopefully we'll capture any spillages amiss. The key is awaiting the arrival of the Vintage Fun Fair amusements in the later part of the week, that's for the weekend, as they require some time to set up the attractions. We are pleased to announce that we have a huge amount of interest in the stallholders in the Guildhall forecourt. We will feature 12. Which will feature 12. Market Street will feature 15 stalls, and the Key a further 12. These are locally sourced and mixed between breweries, alcohol and beverage concessions, artisan craft stalls, and a nice mixture of food stalls, including some vegan and vegetarian options. The music this year is simply stellar. We have to retain the folk element of the festival, but also expand it to try and encourage the additional customers therefore. Some music is loosely folk, but still within the concept of folk music in all the forms. In some of the highlights, I would recommend that you would see the Theo Mazu Band, which are from Brazil. They've come especially from Brazil.
Councillor Marie, sorry, could I just, if this is quite a lengthy...
No, I'm nearly finished.
Oh, super.
Nearly finished. It says, on a closing note, that's what I was coming up to.
Thank God for that.
On a closing note, I'd like to personally thank Sandwich Town Council and then through Councillors, Councillor Wales, Councillor Marie, Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Friend, Councillor Malik and Councillor Sue Chandler for the help for pushing the importance of the event, the impact it has on Sandwich. Lastly, let's hope the weather holds, and hopefully that we'll get the chance to enjoy some of the festival, visit some of the excellent establishments in Sandwich, and indulge in some rather a few pints of ale. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marie. And moving on, item number 11 is financial information.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, Councillor Black.
Mr. Mayor, I thought I was supposed to do a brief report on the Standing Orders Working Group. If it's not appropriate, that's up to you.
No, I thought you said earlier that you were bringing it to the July meeting.
I am bringing a full report to the July meeting, but I was told by the town clerk that this was the opportunity to say.
Ah, right. My confusion. Carry on, please.
Thank you. Right, with the Standing Orders Working Party, which is absolutely riveting if you're not doing it. We've had 4 meetings to date, 2 more are planned. We're 2/3 of the way through the document that Councillor Gray compiled to pull together the various things from NALC and from other local authorities. It's vital we get the legislation correct, and we'll publish that in our final document, so you'll be able to see, every council will be able to see what is legislative, what is discretionary. We are working to a unique Sandwich Town Council document. That's in accordance with the previous minutes. We've had generous help from Christina Glynn and also from a gentleman called Bob Scruton, who some of you may know. The standing orders are the bedrock of the council procedure and document strategies. I circulated the document map which Councillor Green had provided. A is the what, B is how matters can be delivered, C is the who, and D the outcomes. This will allow other meetings then to do their own documents but to a common framework.
Indeed. That's good. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Black, and indeed I did see the document map, which I thought was very highly professional, so I'm very pleased that I've got the right people working on this, and I really do say this, I think it's one of the most important working groups for the whole council, and I want you to take your time to make sure that we get it right and not rush it. So thank you very much. Thank you on that. Thank you, Councillor Black. Item number 11 is financial information to receive the petty cash statements as of 30th of April 2023, and this is attachment number 5. Could I have a proposer and seconder for the petty cash statement, please? The proposer is Councillor Franklin and the seconder is Councillor Gray. And all those in favour, please show with your cards. Thank you very much. Okay.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, who's second? Councillor?
Oh, it was Councillor Gray seconded it, sorry, beg your pardon.
Thank you.
You okay there? Yeah. Understood. And then item number 12 is finances and annual governance, annual return. And these items, which are 6A, 6B and 6C, can be taken on block. So I would like to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council Statement of Accounts as at 31st of May, income and expenditure, budget and petty cash. Item 6B is, as per the financial regulations, please consider and confirm that the staff salary payments should continue to be made by BACS. And item number C, as per financial regulations, please consider and reconfirm that payment by variable direct debits is acceptable in relation to payments for electricity, gas, water, internet, broadband, phone charges, HR and photocopier contracts, and also that standing orders are acceptable for IT support. So could I ask for a proposer and a seconder for items 6A, 6B and 6C, please? So we've got Councillor Franklin and Councillor Pennington, please. And please show your cards as per your choice. We've got one abstention. Thank you very much. Okay, and then item number 4, so this is 12.4, which is attachment number 7, is to consider the findings of the review of the effectiveness of the system of internal control, page 3 of the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st of March 2023, and a covering letter from the internal auditors McCabe and Ford. So could I have a proposer and a seconder for this proposal?
Could I speak on this?
Oh sure, I thought you was proposing.
So we had the Finance and General Purposes meeting, was it last week? Yeah. At which I was elected chair, but that meeting had not met since December. I think there is some concern among councillors about these documents, certainly new councillors who were not party to what's been happening over the past year. I think obviously that has to be in the context of the staff shortages we've got, the stress that's been on the financial officer. So I think the view is that we would either abstain on this, some councillors will abstain on this, or vote for it reluctantly on the basis that all of these matters are going to be fully scrutinised by the Finance and General Purposes Committee. I think starting with the attachment 7, which is the internal audit report, I mean this has obviously been signed off by the internal auditor, so it's their professional decision that these things are all okay. But if you look at item C, which refers to the authority has assessed all the significant risks facing the organisation, well, the subsequent spreadsheet is something we had a year ago. We weren't happy with it then, and it hasn't been changed, and I don't think we're happy with it now, so that needs to be deferred and looked at in more detail. So I'm happy to propose that we approve attachment 7, which is the internal auditor report, and then the accounting statement, the risk register, item 9, I think needs to be deferred for more consideration.
I agree with
and
you.
then attachment 10, attachment 9 rather, I think I would certainly be prepared to propose that we accept that report, but reluctantly, but that we have more detailed scrutiny where we can work out how these documents are put together, and then bring that to a future meeting.
Sure. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Wiles. Councillor Tuker was actually put his hand up previously.
So I have some concerns about some of these documents, and it's not about being a new councillor as far as I'm concerned. It's about looking for proper, robust governance. So some of these documents I will not be abstaining against, and I've followed the pattern of abstention because I haven't been here. Some I am actually going to vote against. Certainly the risk register has been mentioned already. It is not fit for purpose.
No,
this isn't about the staff now, and Councillor Wiles has quite rightly flagged up the pressures on the staff, but this is about a long-standing poor stewardship of the business of the council. So we need to get it right, and what we don't do is push anything back. We say we've got a problem here, we want to do something about it. So in that spirit, for the risk register, I would offer to the town clerk, I will work with her in the next couple of weeks. We will refresh it to a state that it's acceptable to be within this cycle of sign-off process.
So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
And the second thing was on attachment 10. There is no detail behind this.
No.
So I don't know quite what we're being asked to approve in this meeting. So it isn't about abstaining.
No.
We have very high level figures with no breakdown behind those. So to arrive at a point of saying we're happy with top level figures, we collectively need to know how we've arrived at that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for that. That's a Councillor Breen next, please.
Sorry, I beg to differ with Councillor Wiles on attachment 9, because when I look at it, the yes/no boxes have not been completed, so the document is not complete. So I don't see how we can approve it.
Thank you for that. Councillor,
I was going to say, I think for for the purposes of you understanding, the annual governance annual return, these restrictions are that form has to come to council with no boxes ticked, because it's for members to agree those statements. So it wouldn't come pre-populated because it's for you to agree those statements. So I will be, when we get to that item, we'll be reading each statement to you in turn, and then obviously you vote on whether it's a yes or a no.
Okay.
And this is very important because this is the final stage of the audit process for the council, and obviously there are statutory deadlines to meet. So what I would say to you is, we are right at the end of the statutory deadline to get this information over to the external auditor, which is Mazars LLP. So I think I would urge everybody to think very carefully, because obviously the governance, I agree, there is work to be done, but this is an important matter for the council.
Can you advise on what you say we're at the absolute deadline? Have we got a date that we can specifically work to?
So it's the 30th of June is when a council is expected, a local council is expected to submit this figure.
Councillor Gray, please.
The problem, as I understand it, these documents have to be published by the 1st of July. They're then open for inspection by the public, and they're then open for the external auditor to look at them. And they're in effect published in draft, and then they have to go through the procedure, and they have to be finalised by the end of September. Am I wrong?
All I'd say is the 30th of June is the statutory deadline.
Yes.
You're correct in that the opportunity for the public to come and look at the accounts has to include 10 working days in July.
Correct.
And that's where they stipulate the inspection period. The inspection period is aside from meeting the statutory deadline to Mazars LLP. So that is another important deadline. And you're right that the external auditors then have a period, it's usually to the end of September, to come to council with the final certificate of whether they agree and the accounts and everything, the governance. So that's the process. But you're right, the public opportunity to look at the accounts, it has to include 10 working days in July. So that's why you're given that period usually.
And therefore we're going to get in difficulty if we don't publish them. The main area of concern seems to be the financial risk assessment, attachment 8, where clearly there are some areas in it which are wrong or out of date. But I would query whether they are really sufficient to for the council to consider they've been inadequate in their risk assessment. And I think we have got, in the circumstances, we should go ahead and approve these as they are, reluctantly. But the financial risk assessment should be referred back to the Finance and General Purposes Committee to correct them, re-look at them, and the council can always make a statement that they intend to rectify these in the future.
That's what I actually have written down here, and we've had an offer of help to get those done. Very quickly, Councillor.
Town Clerk, a quick question. So if we're delayed, does the council get penalised in any way for not having them in time? Because if the councils want to get it right, time should be taken.
I mean, if it is possible that you can be late, but obviously we need to make that email off to the auditors tomorrow to advise them that you are delayed. But it is something that obviously that form is given to everybody, right at the beginning of sort of February, March time, and obviously we are now, at the end of June. So I can certainly do that email to the auditors, but I can't tell you whether or not there will be any penalties, because it is, with late work going into the auditors, they obviously have a schedule of work, and they know that all the local councils get their accounts in on that date, and then they work through to the end of September. So I think that there is a possibility there might be a penalty for late.
So could I have I really need to move forward on this.
Just very briefly, if I may, I think the public perception, if we delay publishing these, is going to be damaging to the council more than anything else.
Exactly, thank you for that. Very quickly, Councillor Pennington.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I wish we weren't in this place, but I think the proposal put forward by Councillor Wiles is the most sensible and practical way to proceed.
Thank you.
Can you remind us what the proposal was?
Indeed, yes. Councillor Wiles, would you?
Yeah, I just seek advice from the Town Clerk on attachment 9. If we were to answer no to question 5, would that be a problem?
Sorry, attachment on
The risk
government statement. Yeah, so you've got down, sorry, are you talking about number question 9?
Question 5 on attachment 9 on the annual government statement.
Okay, yeah. So obviously carrying out a risk assessment of the risks facing this authority, and if you answer no, obviously that's for members to decide. That would then be fed to the external auditors, and what they will be doing as part of their assessments is to come back to council and say, you've answered no here, we want to know that you are putting in place mitigation, you are working towards. So I think, for members' peace of mind, that probably would be, a good suggestion.
Okay then. So,
sorry, Town Clerk, can I just ask then, if we were to look at item number 2 on attachment 9, where we're saying things like, we maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness. Is there evidence to demonstrate that, those things happened and there was a review of the effectiveness of it? And what I'm really saying is that I don't know how, sitting around the table here without kind of evidence documents to back these things up. So maybe it would be a practical suggestion for Councillor Wiles as head of the Finance, and General Purpose Committee, and maybe working with others to review some of this evidence to satisfy councillors. And I'm sure Karen has done, or the RFO has a lot of these things in place, but they're just not evident to us as councillors as we stand here tonight.
So items 1, 2, 3 and doing. So item number 12, items 1, 2 and 3, we're going to vote on that en bloc, and then we will address items 4, 5, 6, 7 and 7 after that. So we could have done that for. So first of all, we're doing items 1, 2, 3, which can be done.
Sorry, I thought we were still on the effectiveness of the internal control at 100%.
That's right, yeah. We can do those 3 en bloc, can't we? And then move to, that's it, yeah. So we're doing items, number 12, items 1, 2, 3 en bloc. So could I have a proposer and seconder for those 3 items, please?
I think we've done that.
Have we done that? Have we voted on that?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, big pun, sorry. All right, okay. So we're down to item number 4. So considering the time,
We haven't voted on that.
I didn't think we had.
Clark, we've got the minutes.
Yes. I've got Councillor Payton and somebody abstained. That was 12A. Yeah, so 12 A, B, and that's the 12 A, B, and C.
Okay.
Councillor Franklin, Councillor Pennington, and 1 abstention. So you have done 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And 12.
All right. Okay. Well, item number 4 is to consider the findings of the review of effectiveness of the system of internal control, and this is attachment number 7. So I need a proposer and a seconder for this one.
Propose.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. And can you show with your cards, if you're abstaining, could you hold them up, please? So we can see the abstentions.
Abstentions 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 abstentions.
Okay. And item number 8 is to review and approve the financial risk assessment and management scheme for the year ending 31st March 2023, which is attachment 8. And I had written down here to defer this item until to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, which is what I believe Councillor Wiles had also said. So this would be a deferment of that item. Could I have, you've proposed this, haven't you, Councillor Wiles? I just need a, thank you very much, Councillor Anderson. So those in favour of deferring this item, please show with your cards.
Yeah.
That's all of those. Okay. And item number 6 is to approve the annual governance statement by resolution. Section 1, page 4 of the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st March 2023. And the town clerk will read these at the meeting, and thereafter the town clerk and the mayor are to sign these and date these, plus a minute reference. This is attachment number 9. I'll hand over to the town clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so as I said earlier, this is the annual governance statement for 2022-23. I'll read each statement to you in turn, and if, Mr. Mayor, you could ask for a vote on each statement, on whether it's yes or no. Thank you.
Sorry, Town Clerk. I thought I made a proposal because if the evidence for some of these points isn't to hand for councillors to make a decision, that Councillor Wiles and maybe some other councillors working with him could scrutinise the evidence supporting these statements, so that we can make an assessment.
So just to be clear, you want me to contact the auditors and tell them that you're going to be late submitting the AGAR? Is that what everybody wants to do? No. Because the annual governance statement is part of the annual governance annual return that has to be going off to the auditors. So what you can do is each of these statements, as I read them, if you don't agree with yes, you say a no answer, and then that will go off to the auditors, and then they will come back to us and ask us why we've said no, what mitigation and things we're putting in place to address things. So I think that for members, that's the best approach, because we are then submitting everything to the auditors in the timely manner, but you are being, very transparent. Yes, transparent about where we are. Thank you.
Would you pray continue, please?
Thank you. Okay, so statement number 1. We have put in place arrangements for the effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. Answering yes to this statement means that this authority has prepared its accounting statements in accordance with the accounts and audit regulations. So there are two choices, yes or no.
Can I ask those that want to vote yes to this, vote with your cards now.
That's thank you. Statement number 2. We maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption and review its effectiveness. Answering yes to this statement means this authority made proper arrangements and accepted responsibility for safeguarding the public money and resources in its charge.
So those that want to vote yes to that statement, please vote with your cards now. She's got 1 against there. Or 1 abstention, 2 abstentions. So that's actually carried as a yes.
Sorry, Jay, you only asked for people voting yes.
If it's conclusive,
yes or
if it's
no.
conclusive, then it will go through as a yes.
Well, may I ask, is it possible to abstain?
Yeah. You can vote against as well if that's okay.
Madam Clerk, I voted no against that.
Yes,
on the basis that I haven't seen the evidence,
Okay.
and that's why I voted no.
Okay.
And it's not a criticism of what's happened. It's just that you know, in order to say yes, I think we need to see the evidence.
I understand.
We understand
so I had
that.
2 against and 1 abstain for that. I've recorded that. Thank you. Statement number 3. We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances. Answering yes to this statement means the authority has only done what it has the legal powers to do and has complied with proper practices in doing so.
Okay, so if you're answering yes to that statement, please put up your card now. Can you hold them up so we can...
5 abstentions. Statement number 4. We provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the Accounts and Audit Regulations. Answering yes to this statement means that during the year we gave all persons interested the opportunity to inspect and ask questions about this authority's accounts.
Okay, so if you're answering yes to that statement, please put up your cards now.
No, I wish to explain why I'm voting no against this. It is because the accounts budget for the year January 22, well, the year 22 to 23 should be on the website and are not.
Okay.
The budget has never been put on the website.
Thank you.
And it should have been put there in January 22.
Thank you for raising that.
Thank you. Okay, statement number 5. We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required. Answering yes to this statement means we carried out and documented the financial and other risks it faces and dealt with them properly.
Okay, so voting yes for this statement. And if you're not,
Is that 4 against?
yeah.
And then abstentions 1, 2, 3.
2, 3 abstentions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure how people can vote for that if we've already said that the risk register is out of date.
Exactly.
So it's contradiction.
Personal choice, Councillor, I'm afraid. So.
Okay. So statement number 6. We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of the internal control of the accounting records and control systems. Answering yes to this statement means we arranged for a competent person, independent of the financial controls and procedures, to give an objective view on whether internal controls meet the needs of this smaller authority. Sorry, that's
Is
the
that yes or
auditor.
no? Oh, that's it, yeah. So voting on this one,
Yes, please.
please show your cards.
2, 3 abstentions. Okay, so that's carried. Thank you. Okay, number 7, we took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit. Saying yes to this statement means the authority responded to matters brought to its attention by internal and external audit.
Okay, so voting on that one.
6 abstentions.
8
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And number 8, we considered whether any litigation, liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements. Answering yes to this statement means this authority disclosed everything it should have about its business activity during the year, including events taking place after the year end if relevant.
Okay, so voting on this one, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, and the last one, this is trust funds, including charitable. In our capacity as the sole managing trustee, we discharge our accountability responsibilities for the fund's assets, including financial reporting and, if required, independent examination or audit. Saying yes to this statement means this authority has met all of its responsibilities, whereas a body corporate is the sole managing trustee of a local trust or trusts.
Okay, so we're voting on this last one, please. Please show your cards.
3 abstentions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Right, so, and now we're moving on to item number 8 to approve the accounting statements for 2023, section 2, page 5 of the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st March 2023 to be signed by the Mayor, and this is attachment number 10. So I need to approve and second. I need approver and seconder for that. Thank you very much. And Councillor Franklin seconding. So, and all those in favour of approval? One against.
One against, yeah. And
3 abstained. Thank you very much. Okay. And then item number 7 is to receive and consider a report from the RFO regarding the internal audit of Sandwich Town Council account and to review the appointment of an internal auditor and confirm the work to be undertaken for the 2023-24 internal audit. Please be aware that items 4 to 7 have been set out in a specific order as prescribed by the external auditor. And so this is to receive and consider the report and appoint a auditor for next year. So I'd like to.
Yes, so the actions, can the council consider whether to appoint Emma Stevens from McCabe Ford Williams to conduct the audit for 23-24, and the council should also consider whether any amendments need to be made to the following list of audit items quoted by McCabe Ford. Yes.
So just so that you're clear on this, this is for the council to consider about appointing McCabe and Fords to conduct the 2023-24 audit, and also to consider if there are any amendments to be made to the list of items 1 to 12 which have been quoted by McCabe and Ford there. And you've all had this previously to attending this meeting.
Can I just make one comment, Mayor?
Briefly?
Yes, briefly. Obviously, if you keep doing the same things, you get the same results. So independent auditors are not infallible. So there are a number of issues here in terms of what we've got in front of us. They have been audited independently, and those issues have not been picked up. So I have some issues in terms of the reappointment. I'm not going to vote against it, but something needs to happen, in my view, in terms of a discussion with the auditor that sets out the next year in a different fashion.
Sure, indeed. Could I just say at this point, anybody's able to make a proposal that we find a different auditor, or undertake discussions with the current auditor, but I do need answers to those two questions being voted on tonight. So I need a proposer and a seconder. Whoever's proposing it needs to stipulate what you're proposing. So if that's yourself,
So my
Councillor Duke.
proposal is that what we want to do collectively, I think, is refresh and restart how we deal with our finances. I would ask, in the nature of doing that, we have a meeting with the auditor to explain how we're doing things now, and we therefore set off on the right path. So that's my proposal. We engage with the auditor at the start of the year rather than leave it to the end of the year, and set out our stall to make sure we're going the right direction with their support. So that's my proposal.
Okay, and do I have a seconder for that proposal? Thank you very much, Councillor Black. So, and all those in favour of that proposal for this one? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, sorry, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, is this for full council, the meeting, or is it for finance and general purposes?
Good question. So I, just revising my proposal slightly, it should, in my opinion, Finance and General Purposes Committee.
Thank you.
That's where the responsibility lies.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry, two things. The list from the auditor, the financial officer asked if there's anything to add. Should we add insurances of assets?
If that's what you wanted listed, put into that list, yeah, that can be added.
I think the other thing is that this discussion or painful voting process has revealed that we really need a kind of root and branch review of the way financial matters are dealt with in this authority.
Indeed.
We need to look at the way accounts are presented, because I've been dealing with accounts all my life, and I have to say I find these accounts very hard to follow.
Indeed.
We have a whole page on petty cash for £9. Why are we getting that?
Exactly.
You know, it's Parkinson's law of triviality. What's going on with the rate? So we need to look at the whole thing, and I would recommend that the Finance and General Purposes undertakes that review, subject to staffing resources ASAP, with both the town clerk and the financial officer.
That will be addressed. Councillor Marie?
Just quickly, regarding that, I mean, I was observed the Finance and General Purpose Committee last week, and the responsible finance officer mentioned about some software that's going to streamline everything. So that needs to be spoken about at the next, hopefully, the next Finance General Purposes, putting that in, because she said it will make things a lot more clearer for everybody.
Of course, thank you very much for that point, Councillor Marie. That's very good. So item number 14 is Guildhall Square Working Group, and this is for Councillor Marie to provide an update on the progress to date in the form of a report from the working group. This is attachment 12. I just hasten to add that at 9 o'clock it's my duty to ask whether the meeting should go ahead, should continue, whether to have a comfort break like that. So after Councillor Marie's vote, I will be asking you what you wish to do as to the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't go into detail. You've all seen the minutes. There will be another working group in the next fortnight, purely to speak about the market. The market traders have spoken regarding some concerns they have. That's basically it. Obviously, we've had a discussion about bus stops, and we're going to have that as well. So it's all on the minutes. Just I recommend approval for the minutes. That's all.
Thank you very much. Indeed, Councillor Ripken.
Yeah, I was at the museum yesterday afternoon, and at 3 o'clock the water started to water the hanging baskets, and it drenched the whole area. It was puddly, and apparently it had done that for a couple of hours the day before as well. So can I suggest they have a look at how the water system is run, because it's obviously not running suitably at the moment, because the water eventually went up the wall of the Guildhall, and it was in the windows, so it's obviously not running properly.
I think Councillor Marie's got an answer to that.
I will speak to the chair of Sandwich and Bloom, because they run it. That's their project. I'll let them speak to them. One more thing I did mention, it's in the report. It's about the pigeons at the moment causing a lot of mess on the new sets and stuff, and it's coming.
I believe that's in next month's report. Thank you for that, Councillor Marie. So could I have a proposer and a seconder for this report, please? Proposer, Councillor Wiles, and seconder, Councillor Anderson. Thank you. And all those in favour, just...
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. And then item number 14, Disability Access Strategy for Sandwich. Members to consider a report from Councillor Ungerson with a proposal to reinstate the Disability Access Strategy Working Group. And as it says there, this is attachment 13 and a decision is required on re-establishing this group. And then obviously we'd have a chair. Councillor Anderson.
I'll just speak briefly. I'm very keen that this working group is re-established. It sort of fell by the wayside because I'm afraid to say that the Dover District Councillor and the Kent County Councillor, who did attend quite regularly, obviously at some point decided not to anymore. And that's unfortunate because Dover District Council deals with parking and with pavements, and Kent Highways deals with roads. It's all terribly complicated. I'm very pleased to see that a member of the Disability Access Strategy Working Group is here, Chris Elvin, and he and I work together on mobility scooters going round Sandwich, finding out how difficult it is, as one would expect in a medieval town, but there are things that can be done, and some of them are quite quick and simple to ameliorate things. And one of the things I do want to do, and for which we do seem to have a little budget, it may not be enough, is develop a route from the Quay car park into the town, which would involve a ramp through Ainsley Court. And the Ainsley Court residents have said yes, they're happy to see that. So what I would like to do is really gear up again, and hopefully Dover District Councillors, one of them, and the Kent County Councillor will attend. And I'd like some other members of the council to join. So I see 3 hands up, which is brilliant. I think that's enough. And 4. So that's a maximum of 5 councillors. So are you all saying that you would like to? Very good.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thank you. The disability strategy is fantastic. It's really good. I really like to get involved. So yes, I am putting my hand up to join the group because I have a disabled daughter myself. So it's good to give some expertise on it. So yes, I propose that the working group is set up again as soon as possible with the councillors that have put their hands up.
Do I have a seconder for that?
Just to clarify, sorry, I didn't quite see all those hands in time. Thank you.
I didn't think I'd asked them to vote yet.
Sorry, this is Councillor Marie, Councillor Pennington, and Councillor Tomlins.
Thank you.
Councillor Anderson.
Thank you.
Okay, and did I have a seconder for Councillor Marie's proposal? Yeah. Councillor Ripley, thank you very much. And could you all vote with your cards? It's unanimous there. Okay. Right, okay. It's now struck 9 o'clock, so I have to actually ask you whether you want to first of all continue with the meeting, or we can defer the rest of the meeting to another date, but it means coming back tonight, or you can have like a short break if anybody needs a comfort break and then return. Councillor Franklin?
Yeah, I think normally it's a 3-hour period, isn't it? It's up to 10 o'clock. But I would like to come for a break because we normally have water.
Oh right, I was going to say,
we have no water.
Dover District Council, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but sandwich is always 10 o'clock, 3 hours.
Oh right, I see.
I was going to say, it is normal practice to get to the 2-hour point.
Yeah.
You would normally then vote
on
to
it.
extend
We
the
haven't done
meeting.
that before the town council. It's 10 o'clock maximum.
Okay then. So I'm asking whether you wish to continue to vote ahead. So are you voting for this?
No, it's just a point to make with regard to the section on Woodensborough Road. As this is time limited, that we go straight to that before any further discussion.
Sorry?
Just want a tea break.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's allowing people to have like a 5-minute comfort break, but you'll have to vote in favour for us to continue, or I just defer the meeting to another date. So all those in favour of continuing, having a couple of minutes comfort break and then continuing, please signify.
Yeah.
Presently.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's that. So we're taking literally just 3 minutes to go and have a comfort break.